Thanks for tuning in. I'm Kim Stanley and you're watching Cox Connections only on Cox 9 Roanoke. At the end of June, all of Virginia was hit hard by incredibly strong winds. The storms knocked down trees and power lines during a blistering heat wave. Some people were without power for a week. Cox, Virginia Risk Management Specialist Jesse Lax and Roanoke City Deputy Emergency Manager Roger Manuel are here to give us tips on how to be prepared for situations such as this. Thank you both for joining us today.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, I mean, truly, Virginia just went through some very difficult storms, and but not the first for our area either. So, what steps should we take to be prepared for an emergency situation such as what we just went through with these extended power outages?
I'll start. I think probably the most important thing folks need to realize is that unfortunately, emergencies are not a convenient thing. Sometimes they happen real quickly, sometimes we can see them happen a few days out. But probably the most important thing, from a preparedness standpoint is to have a plan together and also have an emergency kit together.
Well, you mentioned the kits, so we'll go ahead and talk about that. What do you suggest we have in these kits?
Every family's got a different need when it comes to an emergency kit, but there are some things that are pretty much vital that belong in a kit. You think more things like legal documentation, medical documentation, medications, water, non-perishable food items, and also to keep your pets in mind too. Have pet food and things like that on hand as well.
Okay. And then Roger, we talk a lot about a family emergency plan, and I'm sure it's different based on where you live, but in our area, in the Roanoke area, what is a family emergency plan?
Well, you can check out a family emergency plan at www.ready.gov.
Okay.
This gives you a great idea of the kind of things you'll be looking for. A family emergency plan may consist of such things as having someone out of the area to call to report your condition. In this case, if someone's out of the area, they're more likely to not be affected by the disaster. And that would be the stable kind of base you could report into. And that way everyone in the family would know that the others are okay. Some of the other emergency family plans, as Jesse pointed out, the kind of the kit, make sure to have things such as non-perishable foods, some extra water. About a gallon a day per person would be good.
Okay.
And have a radio. The thing is, we broadcast. During an emergency, we broadcast messages. And if you have a battery-powered radio, you can receive those messages. And it changes, so you'll be able to stay up to date on what's going on. Flashlights, of course, things like that. Right. But that part of that plan, is just making sure that you can stay in contact with one another.
That's so important with loved ones worried about you and things like that. So that's just one thing I know I wouldn't have thought about. Jesse, why don't we talk a little bit about how Cox works with, our localities on during a disaster?
Absolutely. And one of the things I think that some of our customers still have the mentality is that Cox is still the cable company.
Right.
And a lot of people don't really realize nowadays that Cox is a full-fledged telecommunications provider. We provide people with TV service, but we also give them that lifeline to the outside world.
Right.
And because we're a telecommunications provider, that requires us to work closely with our emergency management localities as well as with American Electric Power. And we work with them close enough to the point to where when a disaster does hit, that we work, in those disaster areas closely. We follow right behind AEP when it's time to do the restorations to ensure we get our services back up as quickly as possible.
Jesse brought up some great points, and we do work together, and we attempt to coordinate our efforts. But Cox is great because it will broadcast information also that we have, that we put out, and folks can access that if their television's working.
Right, definitely. But to Jesse's point, we also have the phone service and the internet service as well. So all of those things are so important if it's working to get your message out. So that's good. Good to know.
Another great thing to be sure you include in your emergency kit, something that a lot of folks don't think about these days, is a corded telephone. If you don't have electricity, your cordless phone is pretty much a paperweight. If you have a corded phone and you still have telephone service, you've got that lifeline in the event you need to call for help.
Absolutely,
That's good to know. That's good to know. How is Cox able to assist when the power's out?
Well, without going into great detail about how our network's designed,
Mm-hmm.
you know, our network operates solely off of commercial power. When commercial power goes down, our network has the ability to have a generator hooked directly to it,
Mm-hmm.
and it powers the service continuously. So if you don't have electricity in your house, obviously you're not going to have a television, you're not going to have a computer, but if you have a corded phone and you're a Cox telephone customer, you're still going to have dial tone. So you can still reach emergency if needed. As you mentioned, you can still touch base with those loved ones out of town and just to check in and say, hey, we're doing fine.
Okay, all right. And then how can people help first responders during an emergency?
The best thing they can do is to report. And then, well, such as the recent events that we had wires down, and folks would call those in, and we put them on a list. And they should be patient. That helps a whole lot, because we've got a lot of work to do, and we're inundated with all these calls. So patience is a great thing for the public to remember. Yeah.
Right, definitely. So Jesse, you know, so how can the public help Cox during a power outage? I'm sure patience is the same in your case as well.
Absolutely, yeah, patience is number one, and you know, everyone's safety, of course, in your arena too, everyone's safety is very important as well. So if they see a line down, you know, don't be the hero and try to move it. Call in the right folks that are trained and have the right equipment to help with that issue. And it kind of ties back to what you said just a moment ago, reporting things. You know, if you've got Cox service or you don't have Cox service and you see a line down and you're not sure if it's ours, just call us. You know, let us know there's a line down.
Good. Well, real quick, how can viewers get more information on, you know, safety, preparedness, all of those things?
Well, you mentioned readyvirginia.gov, which is a really great resource.
And we'll put all the websites up as well.
Absolutely. And the National Red Cross also has some really great information, as well as FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Association.
Okay, great.
I might add 211.
Okay.
That's an excellent source of information. It's a clearinghouse for calls. Our dispatchers are instructed to send informational type calls to 211.
Okay.
And they provide a great deal of, Denny Huff and the folks over there provide a great deal of information. And they do a good job getting it out.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Roger, for being on the show. Jesse, good to see you as always.
Great. Thank you.
Before you go, I want to personally thank you for choosing Cox Communications for your entertainment, information, and communication needs. We know you could have chosen another provider, but because you chose us, we promise to provide you with quality products backed up by a talented local team of professionals. I'm Kim Stanley, and I'll see you next time on Cox Connections.